Welcome, everyone, to the dance floor, where life lessons are learned through the art of dance. I'm your host, Anna Harsh, and I have an amazing guest with me, a dance educator, a touring adjudicator, and a published author. So motivating and energetic, Mr. Jadell Lee. Welcome to the dance floor.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Jadell, I was looking at your website and you are just incredible and so inspiring. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your dance journey? Like, how did you get into dancing? Were you really young when you started?
Oh, well, okay. Well, thank you so much again for having me. I'm so excited. Well, I started dancing at 15. And I remember being in the gymnasium. We had a high school rally and we're watching the dance production perform, and they started dancing to Sierra's Get Up. And one, I loved the impact they had on the entire school. Again, we were at a high school rally. This was homecoming and they were slaying.
Yeah.
And I loved their energy. I loved just what they brought to the space. And I had never seen anything like that.
Wow.
At that moment, I was a freshman in high school. And so I had never seen anything like that. And I looked at my friend and I said, I can do that. I'm going to do that. Keep in mind, I've never really danced a day in my life. I've never taken a class. I didn't know anything about the world of dance, but I looked at my friend and I said it with determination, I'm going to do that. And so coincidentally, the following week, that dance production had auditions. So I show up to the auditions. I'm excited. Me and my friend were actually supposed to go together, but my friend flaked and I said, you know what? I'm still going to go through with it.
Good for you.
The challenge was, thank you. The challenge was when I got there, I showed up in jeans. I showed up in a button-up shirt. I showed up in regular school attire, whereas the other dancers showed up in leotards, ballet buns, jazz shoes, ballet shoes. I mean, they were ready to go. Wow. And they were here for it. So What was amazing was I was in this unfamiliar space at 15 years old. I was going into my sophomore year of high school and I was inspired. I was encouraged. I was excited. Yeah. And we started learning the audition choreography. We started going across the floor. Keep in mind, I had no coordination, no rhythm, no dexterity, no anything, but it was awesome. To this day, I think they let me on because I was a boy.
I doubt that because I've seen your videos and you're quite the dancer and you have come a long way from, day one. But I think we all feel like, I'm never going to get there. But I think all the listeners should know that everybody has that starting point. Everybody starts from nothing. Everybody starts from the beginning and basically builds up and up and up. And so I know you went on to college. What made you make that decision to go into dance?
Well, at 15, I started dancing. At 16, I found myself in New York City competing nationally.
Oh my gosh.
Now, it was exciting. Keep in mind, I did not. Yes. So keep in mind, I did not grow up as a competitive dancer. Again, I started at 15. A year later, I found myself in New York City competing at 16. I was competing in the national AXO competition, which was hosted by the NAACP.
Yeah.
So what was beautiful was that I was there on a scholarship. And what was amazing was I competed against 51 other dancers from across the country. These dancers included dancers from the Dance Theater of Harlem, the School of American Ballet, Alvin Ailey. I mean, these dancers were incredible.
Heavy hitters. Yeah.
Of course.
Big time heavy hitters. Yeah. So I can't imagine your nerves.
Well, I think what was beautiful was that most of those dancers, maybe 90% of them were Black, were people of color.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Again, I lived in Sacramento, California, and I did see a plethora of people of color and a lot of them dancers, but I did not see them on television. I did not see them in music videos. I did not see them in these commercial spaces. And so when I was in New York City and I saw that these dancers not only loved dance, but it was so much a part of them. The way that they walked, the way that they talked, the way that they moved, just the maturity in their passion, it gave me such a perspective on my life. It gave me such a perspective even on the arts. The fact that, again, your gifts really are designed. They really can be designed to make room for you. There was room for everyone in that space.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. So again, I competed. I placed in the top 17. And what was amazing.
Oh my gosh. That just stars were aligning for you.
I placed it. Yes, thank you. I placed in the top 17. And what was really, really influential and what really incredible was that the 17 of us got to learn a opening and closing number for the awards ceremony. Now, keep in mind, this was an academic, this was a performing arts, this was a multi-creative competition. There were over 3,000 contestants in all these various categories. And so this live performance, this live award show ceremony was across the board for the students across the board. We were just a part of the entertainment, which was beautiful, to open and close the event. And so we spent the rest of that week in New York City in rehearsal. So while my friends that I traveled there with were going to see
Empire State Building?
The Empire State Building. See, yeah. I never to this day have seen it because I was in rehearsal.
We're busy dancing. We don't have time to sightsee.
Right. So while they were going, to all these different places and sightseeing, I was in rehearsal with these incredible dancers. And so again, the awards show was amazing. There were a lot of celebrities there. There were a lot of celebrities. You would have been surprised who showed up at this award ceremony. These are people that have either supported that organization or have been funneled through that organization with their talent. And these were people that at the time were either on reality television shows that were dance related or within movies that were dance related. I mean, even the actress, and forgive me for forgetting her name, but she was the voice, Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog. She was there.
Oh, right.
She gave out award.
Yeah.
And so,
wow.
Again, just beautiful people of color, such an amazing experience. And it, again, gave me such perspective. I came back to Sacramento, California, convinced and determined and just fixated on the fact that I was going to sow so much into dance that I believed that it was going to take me around the world. And so far now, dance has taken me all around the country. And right now, this time next year, I project that I'll be in Japan teaching. I'll be in Europe teaching. It's really exciting. Yeah.
I love when dance takes you to a journey that you never expect. You get in that vehicle called dance or movement, and you don't know where you're going to end up when you start to drive that car, right? Because you end up in these places that brings you so much joy. And that's the reason why you get into the dance vehicle, because it brings you joy, and in no other capacity can really bring you that much joy. At least for me, I'm sure you found that bug too, that it has brought you so much joy in your life that you can't breathe without it. So for all of our college students out there, dance has been really challenging. Obviously through COVID, I know I taught a lot of master classes via Zoom, teaching either modern or Italian folk or whatever, something different that they were kind of missing in their college classes. And we did it through Zoom. They had lots of questions, about dance life, but also just personally, like, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? So when you went on to college, how did you deal with all of those kinds of pressures that come with college? That newness of, I don't know what this experience is going to be like, and how do I keep up?
What was interesting for me, really great question. What was interesting for me was in Sacramento, I had some incredible teachers. And just in terms of dance, they introduced me to the Dunham technique. They introduced me to the Martha Graham technique. They introduced me to hip hop, jazz, different forms of contemporary. They introduced me to improvisation, structured improvisation. They introduced me to this way of thinking and talking and perceiving and engaging with dance outside of just being the dancer, the person who gets worked on. They really introduced how collaborative and intentional the dance space can be. And so when I went to college and I found myself in those dance spaces within college, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. If anything, I really felt prepared for that space.
Oh, good.
I think, and that was beautiful, right? Because again, at that point, I was 17 in college. And when it came time to dialogue about a piece of phrase work or choreography or whatever the case is, I was already mentally there. Yeah. And that was exciting to not have that culture shock. I think the challenge was getting to a point where I realized that I wasn't prepared to be an adult. So while I was super comfortable, incredibly prepared in the dance space, I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't prepared to manage my time, to manage and deal with my emotions, to develop even a growth mindset as I started that new college journey, which again was designed for me to further come into myself in other aspects of my life. So the advice, or even just the perspective or the light that I would shine on anyone entering in their freshman year or even their second year of college, is pay attention to your experiences. If anything, what you face, your opposition, is only an opportunity to mature, an opportunity to grow. And I'll give you an example. While I was comfortable in these dance spaces, I did not have the etiquette, the maturity, or the respect sometimes for the choreographers, the directors. And what my immaturity in terms of my character and integrity prevented me from doing was prevented me from participating fully engaged, mentally, emotionally, even physically. There were times where I was arrogant and haughty and proud and felt too good to be in the space. And that had nothing to do with dance and everything to do with my character and my integrity. So in that, I had a lot of people pull me aside and speak the truth to me in love. And what was beautiful about that was it, again, allowed me to see myself. Now, what I would encourage anyone struggling to adapt to college, even if you came into college during the pandemic, or even if you are transitioning through your second, maybe even your third year while in this pandemic, is allow yourself to see yourself in your situations. If you're going to meditate on the bad, you have to meditate on the good as well. In this opportunity, where can I grow? In this opposition, where can I grow? In this conversation, where can I grow? And what my wife says to me all the time, take the meat, leave the bone. Take what applies to you, take what you can take responsibility for, and leave the rest. For me, what was challenging was not knowing or not figuring out sooner just how to balance.
Yeah, I agree. My husband and I always tell students that education is what you make of it. You know, you've got to squeeze all of the opportunities and all of the experiences out of it. You have to do that. They're not going to just magically come to you and say, hey, here's a really magical opportunity for you over here if you paid attention, or like you said, maybe just was a little more grateful for it. You have to be that person to say, can I sit in on that class? Even though it's, that's not my class, but I'd love to just watch how you taught it,
Right.
because that's what I want to do when I'm done. I want to be a teacher. I want to be an educator. I want to be a choreographer. I want to know your process and what I can learn from how you're doing so well, And so she allowed me to do that, which I was grateful for. And I think once I had that first experience, I realized, I should do more of these things. Like I should ask more people. They probably have all kinds of things that I could do that I wasn't registered for or specifically boxed in to do. And so I did. I choreographed for musicals at college. I was able to work with a theater department, didn't get paid for anything like that, but I just wanted the experience because it paved the way. It was on my resume. And then today I've done probably 55 musicals throughout my career. Choreography,
Oh, wow.
I've been in, and that's a lot of musicals. Well, I know you wrote a book. Can we talk a little bit about what's in your book? It's called...
Yeah. So I wrote a book titled Your First Position. And what was so awesome about it was that it was a play on First Position, the title of that film, that dance film. Okay. But there's so many different pop culture references in this book. Sure. Because I'm a pop cultural fiend. I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of movies. I consume a lot of content. What I appreciate is that art imitates life, imitating art. And what I appreciate just in general about the content that I consume personally is that it's always a reflection of the times. And so when I went into writing this book, I needed it to be a reflection of the time. And at the time, I was about to turn 25. And I had asked myself, Jadell, what have you learned? If you could have an honest conversation with the people that you care about, what would you say? And in answering that question, it became an entire manuscript. And I think what I wanted to address is that you don't have to be great in order to start. You just have to start in order to be great.
And I think that's the hardest part, is just starting, because people are too afraid to start because they're so afraid of failing. They're already thinking about part Z and they haven't taken part A.
Right. And so with Your First Position, what it is it's a self-help book for young people, for anyone that is seeking transition in their life, right? And by transition, I mean going from, like you said, point A to point B, whether they're going from high school to college or college into the workforce, or even if they're just contemplating creating some type of shift in themselves, it helps to walk them through that process of acknowledging where you are, acknowledging where you're trying to be, and seeing the practicum in getting there. And so what I love about the book is that it doubles as a strategy handbook. There's a lot of content at the end of each chapter that allows you to self-reflect, as well as build healthy and positive community, as well as develop a healthy and productive mindset. And in all of that, it teaches you how to develop a growth mindset. So again, looking at your situations and seeing the opportunity to grow versus looking at your situations and seeing the opportunity to stop. And so it's something that's really fun. When my friends and even students have read it, they said, Jadell, it's so positive, it's so enthusiastic. And I was really proud of that because I really wanted to be reflective of my personality. I love to be positive. I love to be enthusiastic about things. I like to get excited about things.
Yeah.
But again, as a teacher, I think the biggest thing that I come up against when I'm working with students is just where their mental health is, where their emotional health is. And so I wanted to create something that showed people a little bit of who they were, and affirm them and encourage them and allow, again, for there to be strategy in the places or in the spaces where they need to pivot or where they need to press into purpose or where they need to trial something new and grow into that next step, whatever it is, right? And I use a lot of dance analogies, which are really exciting. And then, of course, I couple them with the pop culture references. So it's really fun.
That sounds so cool. I can't wait to get a copy of that and dig in. Jadell, we're going to take a quick little break here. And when we come back, I want to hear a little bit about your TEDx talk. And I think that'll help students find that balance that you're talking about. Welcome back, everyone. We're with Jadell Lee. And Jadell, I'm very excited to hear about this because it has been on my vision board for about the last decade, is to do a TEDx talk. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got through that and what it's about?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was really exciting. One of my mentors actually taught me how to apply for TEDx. And what's amazing is that there is a TEDx in almost any city, everywhere, and you'd be very surprised at how easily or how accessible they are to reach out to, and how I would say communicative and collaborative the event organizers actually are. So that's what's so amazing. For anyone that is interested in doing a TEDx talk, you can definitely reach out to me. I can give my information at the end of this podcast. But anyone interested in learning how to get into those spaces, even as a creative and even as a dancer, get into just different spaces. And we can talk about that at a later time with my coaching program. Definitely reach out to me because it is possible. So yes, I did a TED Talk and it was amazing. I'm here in the Bay Area, California. And so I was able to partner with TEDx Design Tech High School as they organized their TEDx event. And so what they did was they actually streamed it virtually, but they had the high-tech quality of any TEDx event, which was amazing. And they had an incredible team. That team made you feel comfortable, made you feel confident, made you feel just ready. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And what I spoke about, the name of my talk was 3 Steps to Developing an Authentically Balanced Lifestyle, which basically breaks down not only the relevance and the importance, but how to develop creating balance between your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and your physical health as you aspire to reach your goals, which I've learned just in my life through my experiences going to college, through my experiences failing forward, are so important, because I think the imbalance comes in when we focus on one area and we neglect the others. And so I know a lot of people who, are career driven and they press into their career, but then their mental or their emotional health suffers.
That's very true. And it's like, even in dance, you have to be balanced to do that pirouette. It's not, all those things have to line up to do that correctly and get all the way around. And if you don't have that trifecta, the mind, body, and spirit, like you said, all lined up, something's going to crumble. Your pirouette's not going to roll.
Yeah. Well, and what it has to do is keep in mind that no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're doing it, no matter what the reason or the purpose of you doing that thing, you have to bring your whole self. And this is what I share with my students, even in the dance space, is that in order for your artistry to mature, you have to acknowledge all of who you are. You might come in on a Tuesday and it's a great turning day. You might come in on a Wednesday and that might not be the case. But even in your acknowledgement, you still get to have the opportunity to have an authentic experience, and you get to grow authentically, right?
Yeah.
I think there is an imbalance when it comes to this idea that dance, as well as your life, there has to be this aspect of perfection, and it doesn't exist.
Right.
No, I always tell my students,
yeah.
I tell my students all the time, you don't have to be perfect, but you do want to progress.
Yes.
And so in that, do not confuse slow progress with no progress, And
That's
so
true.
Again, as it pertains to just creating balance and how it segues even from dance to your life, is that in everything, no matter what you're doing, you have to bring your whole self. So you have to include your mind, you have to include your body, and you have to include your soul. And in that, acknowledge that your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical health all work together in tandem for your good.
Yeah. And I think we've been really imbalanced this past year with mental health. I think everybody's just crumbled a little bit because we have been through COVID, and it's taken a toll not only on our minds, but because of that on our bodies. And as dancers, we're just like, well, we haven't been on a dance floor, and we haven't performed, and we haven't, what is my body going to do? And I keep telling my dancers, along with my own self, one day at a time. Let's just work slowly and work back through. And like you said, progress is progress. And even if it's small, it's progressing forward to your goals again and what you're trying to achieve, no matter what it is. And it's hard. Some days it's a real struggle to be like, I didn't see enough progress, but you have to just have a little grace with yourself and know that it's going to be okay.
Right. And I agree that, again, take it a day at a time. I think what I love to help even my students understand is that progress takes maintenance. And so in maintenance, we got to be patient with ourselves. As you said, we have to give ourselves grace. But if we're able to see our journeys as an opportunity to maintain, again, if we're talking stamina, if we're talking a marathon versus a sprint, develop the muscle to maintain, develop the consistency to maintain. And I think that is a common denominator when it comes to success in any area. When you think about someone who has a successful marriage, they work to maintain their communication, their intimacy. They work to maintain the relationship itself. When you think of someone, again, when you're watching So You Think You Can Dance, and they do that 30-second freestyle solo, again, they worked to maintain their level of excellence to be able to do something incredibly phenomenal within 30 seconds.
I think not only students, but sometimes when I go and perform, audiences don't understand all of the work that went up to the moment you walked on stage. They don't see those years of, tears and struggle and feet that are blistered and torn up because you practiced so much, or, the tattered costumes that you've gone through just to get to that stage and have that moment of improvisation that you're perfecting now because you're so confident. You've learned all the tips and tricks and all the technique. You are able to do it at that point. But a lot of audience members, out there that maybe don't have dance experience are like, that looks easy. I can do that, and you're like, I don't think you can. Like, well, you just made it up on the spot. I'm like, but there's still a technique to it. Yeah. So I think it's challenging on both ends, as a audience member, and as a dancer. Like, you got to remember all of the struggles and trials that you went through just to walk onto that stage and be confident enough to say, I deserve this moment to walk up on here and do and show my talent and give back, show the talent. I always say is a moment that is a gift to the audience. It's your moment to not only give to the audience, but the audience gets to receive that gift of dance that you just presented in your story that you told.
Right.
Jadell, I think I want to be your best friend for life because these conversations are so great and I think they're so important. And I'm so honored that you're on the podcast today. Can you tell us how we can get in touch with you to buy your book and see your TED Talk and all those great things you're doing?
Of course. You can go to my website, jadelllee.com, to not only have access to my book, which is also available on amazon.com, but you can also contact me at Jadell Lee, via Instagram. And then, of course, to learn more about how to land your own TED Talk or even how to develop and grow your dance educator career, you can reach me at jadellleecoaching.com. And where I do individualized and customized coaching for people depending on their goals and whatever it is that they see for themselves. What's been really amazing through my coaching program throughout the pandemic is teaching people within this time how to strategize and also how to increase their cash flow during this particular time as a dance educator. So all of that, and of course how to expand their reach and also level up their teaching opportunities. So if they're teaching at a weekly level, could they teach at a national scale when it comes to master classes and conventions and intensives? It's been really great being able to work with dancers and teaching them how to do that. I have a friend who's actually a principal of San Francisco Ballet and no teaching experience. Most of his experience is obviously performing. Incredible person, incredible dancer. But within about 3 days of working together, we were able to land a consistent masterclass schedule throughout the summer. And then within the 2 weeks of that, he was able to not only perform, but teach at YAGP Internationals. Wow. So super happy for him. But it's been exciting to just show people how accessible, how practical, and how simple it can be. Again, you have to be diligent, consistent with yourself, but how possible it is. And I think for me, being a dance educator, being a professor, being an entrepreneur, being a published author, I think what I like to live out is just the possibilities.
Yeah. Before you go, I know you're working with another organization, Thrive. Can you just talk briefly about Thrive? Because it looks amazing as well.
Yes. So I tour with Thrive Dance Experience, which is directed by Joe Nickel, and it's based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, I love Thrive Dance Experience because it is a convention that really cares about the individual and it cares about the whole individual. So their mind, their body, their soul, it cares about their emotional health, their mental health, their physical health. And then, of course, their ability to, again, grow as a technician, grow as an artist, grow as a dancer across the board. What I'm excited about is that we're returning in the fall. We have 5 tour dates. And what's amazing is you can go to thrivedanceexperience.com to learn about everything that we're doing. We're also launching Thrive the Academy. I was about to say Thrive Dance Academy. That's something else. Thrive the Academy in the summer, where we will offer everything from one-on-one coaching to dancers 13 to 17 who are intentionally seeking to enter into the entertainment industry and seek a professional career as a dancer and as a performer. But again, you get to have one-on-one mentoring. You get to meet the industry seminars where you get to meet choreographers, dancers, people that have done it, people that are in the spaces that you want to occupy. They get to meet and have personal one-on-ones with them. They get to have choreography sessions, all kinds of different things. They even get to have virtual college tours. So there's so many things that Thrive Dance Experience is offering dancers at any level and from any place so that they can not only further their education, but also grow in their passion for the performing arts. I love touring with them because I always have, as a teacher and just as a faculty, I have the best experience. I grow every time I get to be with my Thrive Tribe. So it's
that's
really
awesome.
fun.
And what all do you teach? Do you teach like modern or hip hop, or what is your genre that you love?
Across the board, I teach hip hop, jazz, and contemporary. With Thrive, I teach contemporary and hip hop, which is exciting. Again, Thrive, they have a plethora of qualified teachers, a plethora of such amazing talent. I mean, people that I
saw
learned
some
from.
of the lineup. I was like, gosh, maybe I should come. Like, I just want to.
It is amazing. And just to clarify, so you can go to thrivedanceexperience.com to learn about our fall tour schedule and where we'll be. But some of the dates and some of the places that will be Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on October 17th, 2021, Erie, Pennsylvania, October 24th, 2021, Princeton, New Jersey, November 14th, 2021, Charlotte, North Carolina, November 21st, 2021, Columbus, Ohio, December 12th, 2021.
So I will include the Thrive website on my podcast notes, as well as your website. So there's no more excuses, everyone. It's time to get back to work, right? Join us on a different dance floor, maybe with Jadell, and take his classes or some of his coaching. I'm sure you do probably coaching via Zoom as well, too. Do you do online?
Of course, we do it. Yeah, we do online, we do virtual, we do in person.
It's so
It's
easy
awesome.
now. It's so easy. We've made it so easy for all dancers all over the country and all over the world, really, at this point, to just tap into all of your experience and your amazing and inspiring qualities that we all need in our lives. I appreciate it. Jadell, you're amazing. And of course, you're so motivating and energetic. I just can't wait to work with you a little bit more. And please come back to the dance floor and share more of your wisdom because we're all learning with you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was awesome being here. Thank you so much.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on the dance floor. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host, Anna Harsh. And until next time, keep dancing and moving on the dance floor.